Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today's video is going to be an interesting one, a bit different to what I normally do. I generally make videos about my life living in London, trying to make it as an actress, as well as about books and theatre and, you know, a number of other things. But today we're going to be talking about these little things, goo pots, which are the dessert things you can get. And I think all of them are vegetarian, but definitely the ones I've had. And they're very good. They're not cheap. We always only get them if they're on like Club Card or whatever. But you can keep these containers that they come in and use them for various things if you just wash them up. So I'm going to go through a couple of the ways I've used them. I think we've had 2 of these for about a year, I would say, maybe even longer. And then we've just had another 2 as of like a month ago. And so I've actually got practical uses and genuine uses that I've used these things for that I'm going to talk to you about. So let's jump right in. So the first way I would use these is for any dips. I find they're a very convenient size. So for example, if I make guacamole or if I make like a special mayonnaise, like I've got mayonnaise and I add like lemon to it or a lemony mayonnaise, whatever. Or I've made garlic mayonnaise before as well, I think. Some of the time I buy that ready-made from the shop, but other times I just buy the mayonnaise and I make it myself. Or if you make other dips or sauces, I think this is a very good size for it. You could probably even keep the lid because it's a screw-on. I haven't, but you could definitely use that. And you could probably even use it for a dressing as well, like a salad dressing. But again, I haven't kept the lid. But very easy to store in the fridge, especially with guacamole. I just put some cling film, press it down and wrap it up and it stays fresh, so would recommend. The next way I use this is when I need to mix spices. So there was one dish I made a little while ago that required a Mexican spice blend and I didn't own that and I couldn't find it in the shop, or maybe I could and it was too expensive, I don't know. But I then just found a recipe to make your own Mexican spice blend and I put all the measurements in here and it was even still, I think, too big, the pot as in. So it's a good size for if you then need to like make spices, or I would imagine like a marination or something if you're going to pour it over, but you want to just like have it ready earlier in the day or whatever. So again, useful for cooking. We have also used these as little containers for in the fridge to store things. So the way we've used them is we often get extra spare like mayonnaise or ketchup or mustard dips from restaurants or whatever, and we bring those home. And rather than just having them like lie in the fridge or in the fridge door, which can get a bit messy and gross, I think, just popping them in this sort of standing up, I find is just cleaner and tidier. And I'm sure you could use it for other similar things like that as well. Another way I've used this is to hold leftovers that you want to keep fresh. Specifically, I've used it for a lemon. You just pop it in upside down and it keeps the bottom bit relatively fresh. I don't even think I covered it with cling film. You can, but I think it was fine without as well. That's the only way I've used it for leftovers, but I'm sure there are other leftover things that you can pop in this if it's the right size. I do think a lot of what I'm saying depends on like your living situation. I live with one other person, and so this is like the perfect size. I think if I was on my own, I would also be happy with this, but I think if you have a whole family of like 6, 7, whatever, that's probably too many. Although, I don't know, you might still, like the spice mixes and the marination maybe not, but the spice mix I reckon you could still do for this. And half a lemon, regardless of your family size, will fit in this. And then the final practical use I have for this thing is probably my favourite one, which is for snacks. If I'm just on my own and I just want a handful of snacks, this is the perfect size. So often I will put crudité, so like peppers or cucumber or tomatoes. I love rinsing tomatoes and putting them in here and then just leaving them in the fridge ready to be eaten. So that's definitely number one. I also would use it for fruit. Again, it depends a little bit what kind of fruit, but berries or something would be great in here. Apples pretty good in here. Probably not something like watermelon, but I don't know, it depends on the kind of fruit, I reckon. But definitely a useful one. I also, I find it, it's a better size for me for fruit and vegetables as opposed to like a proper bowl, because this is just like perfect snack size. And I also obviously use it, well, maybe not obviously, but I use it for sweets as well. And in fact, I would say for sweets, it's a good size for 2 of us. I would say it's probably too big for just me because I end up filling it more than I need and then wanting to eat all the sweets and it's too much. But for 2 people, something like Sour Patch Kids or Percy Pigs or I don't know, I can't think of any other snacks right now. Even crisps, I would say this is a good size for me. I know probably not for most people. Or M&Ms, I reckon this would be a good size. And it just means you can take this to your bed or wherever you're eating your snacks, your couch, as opposed to the whole packet, especially if it's like a bigger thing. So those are the ways I've used these goo pots. I'm very curious to hear if you've got any other suggestions. Some of the things I have seen people use them for online include plants, which I would say this is probably too small for a plant, but I don't know much about plants, so I'm sure there might be something out there that is the right sort of size and depth and whatever for this. And then the other way is also candles. I don't make candles, but I imagine if I would, this is exactly what I would use because it's like such a lovely size and also quite a nice like look. I think if you had a candle in here, that would be quite nice, decorative. So those are the suggestions I've seen and I've used some of. But yeah, as I say, I'm very curious if you have any other recommendations because I do think there's a lot of potential in this little thing. Obviously, if you eat lots of goo, then you may have more than you need, but as I say, I currently have 4 and I'm very happy with that number. 2 was most of the time enough, but then every so often I'd have used both and I'd want a 3rd one for something else. So I'm finding having 4 is quite convenient. That being said, don't go out and buy goo just for the pots because I'm sure you can buy something like this in any kind of shop, including charity shops. But if you're going to eat them, you may as well keep them. Although if you don't want to keep them, I'm pretty sure they are recyclable. So keep that in mind as well. That's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. It is a bit different to my usual. And if you're new here, please do stick around, have a look on my channel, see what else you might like. And I will see you all in another video very soon. Bye!